Dinos Alive is here in Denver right now, and I read a ton of reviews that were all over the place, and after going, the weird thing is that they're all kind of right in their own way. To make that make sense, I'm gonna show you what it's really like from start to finish with a buttload of clips so you can decide if it's for you and your family, especially for the price. And if it looks like it is, I'll drop a link at the top of the screen and in the description that lets you choose your entry time, and you can decide if you want those VIP tickets that literally might double the amount of time that you spend there. I'll get into that more, but let's head to Dinos Alive. In Denver, Dinos Alive is at the Exhibition Hub Art Center, same place as Bubble Planet, the Titanic experience that just left, and the Immersive Van Gogh years ago. And if you're watching this from another city, chances are it's in that big, kind of weird venue where there are things like this that pop up every 3 or 4 months or so. Because we have a 5-year-old and 2-year-old, we typically end up at these limited time type of things, maybe once or twice a year. As soon as you enter, you see something similar to the best thing from the not great Jurassic Quest, another one of these traveling exhibits with moving dinosaurs, but it's not very good. For $2 or $3, kids can ride on these dinosaurs for a few minutes, kind of like a mall carousel, but it's cooler. The dinos move up and down, swing their tails, they blink, and if you touch them, you'll be like, that's a pretty high quality dinosaur. I don't know if you're supposed to, but it's kind of hard to resist, like slapping watermelons in the grocery store. In my opinion, these should be free with the cost of admission, but they'd probably also be insanely crowded and clog up the front because the rides aren't super short, so I kind of understand why they don't, but it feels like they should be free. And for almost no reason at all, there's a coin-operated Tom and Jerry whack-a-mole that feels like it's there to make toddlers get pissed at their parents for not carrying quarters in 2025. There's also a slide, but it looks like a dinosaur, and it serves a purpose because your kids can do that while you're filling out the waiver. And just like many events like this, you can snap a family photo by the green screen if you want to buy it later. We skipped it, but you can. Also, they don't tell you this, but you could just go to the far left and snap a pic with these dinosaur eggs. It's probably equally memorable in your camera roll. Once you're set to go in, you'll walk through a tunnel to see an entertaining yet educational video that kind of sets the stage for the whole thing. So even if you or your kids skip pretty much all of the educational signs throughout the exhibit, you can just hope that someone retains some amount of information from the video. There aren't a lot of rooms in Dinos Alive, and there also aren't a lot of seats in this theater room. And because of that, you might wish that they did a little more here to get kids excited about dinosaurs. Like there was this officially branded Jurassic World thing in Denver a few years ago, and that thing was sick, or lit, or whatever you're supposed to say when something is really good. The dinosaurs were huge, they had people in character acting like scientists, and they had these very realistic looking dinosaur puppets that kids could pet. It got them really excited about the whole thing. That one was so cool, and it should not be confused with the similarly named Jurassic Quest, which was not that cool. But at the very least, there is some built-in educational value here, so you can feel good about that part. Okay, so you might have enjoyed learning about the dinosaurs, but realistically, kids are going to be sprinting into the next room to see some dinosaurs. And personally, I thought the dinosaurs looked pretty good. There are a lot of different ones, and most of them move. Sometimes they take little breaks now and then, and they might surprise you because you'll look at them and you'll be like, oh man, I didn't know that that one moved. But if you zoom through Dinos Alive, which some people do, you might miss some of that. There are bigger dinosaurs, baby dinosaurs, and I really appreciated that they're not all doing the same thing. If they were just nodding in unison or awkwardly standing there like statues, you'd be like, come on, man, I just spent all this money to have me and my kid look at some statues. Some of them are standing up on their back legs, others do more neck action, and then there are even little ones that look like they're scavenging for food in the ferns. I thought it was well done, certainly not to that Jurassic World level of production, but that was on a whole different level, and I think it was double the price, but for what it is, I thought the dinosaurs looked pretty good here, and our kids did too. There are also real rocks on the floor, which adds something more to the environment, even if the leaf nets that you've seen at other types of events like this could be a little bit better. Because the dinosaurs aren't behind glass or super tall in this room, your kids will probably feel like they're getting pretty close to them. Also, the dinosaurs in this room, they're they're not doing anything scary. It's a pretty friendly dinosaur room. Our 2-year-old just thought they looked cool and he wasn't scared at all, so they absolutely passed the dinosaur test for him. If you're enjoying this look at Dinos Alive, please give this video a like to help more families find it. Also, make sure to add yours or your kids' favorite dinosaurs to the comments, or maybe just like somebody else's dinosaur comment. I'm really interested to know which dinosaurs are still popular right now. Now back to the video. After you spend about 10 to 15 minutes with the nice dinosaurs, you go through another tunnel and end up in an oddly warm, immersive, carpeted room that puts you underwater with jellyfish and very large prehistoric creatures. If you've been to a room like this at another immersive experience, or maybe like an upscale indoor playground, this room might be a little less impressive than other ones that you've been in, but it is still pretty big. From what I could tell, neither the floors or the walls reacted to you, but there still is a lot going on. Like in the Disney immersive, bubbles or leaves would clear around your feet and stars would follow kids as they walked around the room. I feel like those just add a little bit more magic to immersive rooms like this. If you've been to a place like Immersive Gamebox, you might have been familiar with tapping on a wall and expecting it to react to your hand. You don't get any of that here, which can be a little confusing to younger generations who think everything is a touchscreen, and rightfully so. Like we had Nokias built like tanks with freaking Snake. Their idea of a bad internet connection is a 5G connection with only 3 bars instead of 5. Regardless, I just sweated profusely with our 2-year-old while I picked him up so that he could tap jellyfish on the wall, thinking that they were doing something, and he still had a good time with it. When you see a room like this, you probably already have an idea if your kid is going to be the one running excitedly back and forth from wall to wall, or if your kid is going to be the one who's going to want to go straight through it and never look back. My main light right here just turned off out of nowhere. It's like the dinosaur gods are listening. For us, our kids are down to hang out in a room like this for a while, and I think that they're right in that age group sweet spot for Dinos Alive, and I'll talk more about that later. In general, older kids are less entertained in there, and there are some younger kids that could probably spend an entire afternoon in there. And after you leave that underwater room, if you've been flying through Dinos Alive, which is very possible if you have older kids or a very young kid passed out in a stroller, you might be kind of shocked to realize that the next room is the last room of the whole experience. It's the most impressive and interactive room. I think it's the most fun, but it's the last one. I did hear some parents, especially those with older kids, saying, "I think this is it," while surrounded by the best dinosaurs in the building because they had sped through the whole thing. I also saw many parents, ourselves included, who were just laughing because their kids were having way too much fun racing dinosaurs, going down slides, and checking out the biggest dinosaurs of the whole exhibit. But realistically, for those families who went through this thing really fast, you might have spent $23 for your kid's ticket, $27 for your ticket, which would be $100 for a family of 4. But one good thing to know is that weekday tickets are a lot cheaper, so that can help. But there is a very medium chance that your kids could spend a total of 20 to 25 minutes at Dinos Alive, depending on their age and interest level, and I'm gonna help you try and figure that out. And if that happens, you're walking out to the parking lot saying something to your spouse like, "In this economy," and that doesn't feel very good. Similar to something like Legoland, I think that there's a very tight age range that Dinos Alive appeals to, and luckily for us, our kids are pretty much right in it. Again, our kids are 2 and 5, and I literally checked my watch to see how long we had been inside the building by the time we made it to the last room. For us, it had been about 50 minutes because we spent some time with those dinos at the entrance, and our 2-year-old was not thrilled that Tom and Jerry Whack-A-Mole didn't accept Apple Pay. And I don't think I've ever thought that VIP tickets were worth it for something like this, but this might be the exception for the VR experience that you can do that's connected to this room with the coolest dinosaurs. But you really don't need the poster that comes with VIP tickets, like we forgot to pick ours up, and VIPs don't get free dinosaur rides at the front, even though they should. At least for us in Denver, you could pay $10 a la carte for the VR experience and not get the VIP tickets. This might be a good option if you're just trying to decide if you want to spend a little bit more time there. The VR experience is 25 minutes long, and it will guarantee that you'll be there for a longer period of time. The VR part is supposed to be for anyone 6 and up, or if your kids can pass for 6 like ours did. The VR part happens in these big empty rooms that look completely different with your headsets on, and I thought it was a lot of fun. The resolution on the headsets could be much better, but I think this is really fun for kids that are probably between the ages of 5 and 8 years old. It's crazy, but kids older than that might have done something something cooler on their friend's Meta Quest or a PlayStation VR, so they might be less impressed because this isn't like a top-of-the-line VR headset. But if your kids are in this tight age bracket, it's fun to just be a kid with your kid and walk amongst the dinosaurs in VR. If your kid is on the younger side, you'll be asked to hold their hand or just stay close to them to make sure that they're not running into other people or going outside of the boundaries of the experience. But once you have the headset on, you can see each other's hands and a representation of your kid's head, so it makes it pretty easy to keep track of them. You'll hide behind rocks to see dinosaurs running next to you, you'll help your kid walk across a very narrow bridge over a waterfall, and you'll even tiptoe around a T-Rex. It's pretty fun. There isn't really anything scary or super graphic. I wouldn't worry about any nightmares coming from this. There is some asteroid foreshadowing, but there's nothing really graphic. Personally, this was the highlight for our whole family of the experience. Our 5-year-old actually ended up doing twice because his brother couldn't pass for 6, and he had a blast both times. Because our kid did it twice, that added another 50 minutes to the time that we were in Dinos Alive. But if you don't get that VIP ticket or pay for the VR experience, there are some other fun things that you can do in this room. Just a fair warning, this last room is by far the loudest room because it has the big boys. T-Rexes in there, big pterodactyls too. This is pretty much the cool kids table of dinosaurs in the last room. This is where the dinosaurs do the most, they do the biggest movements, and they roar the loudest. Sometimes they'll do it all at the same time, and that sound can add up. I didn't really think it was very loud at any points like some people said in reviews, but if your kids are sensitive to sound, it's something to be aware of. When you back up and see all of these mouths opening and closing and the dinosaurs moving around, it's a lot happening, and I thought it was pretty cool. Make sure to have your kids explore every corner because most of them are going to see the really big dinosaurs, but there's also some other ones that go all the way to the corners of the room. While the lighting can be tough, this is a cool room to get a picture of your kid with a really big dinosaur for a picture that they're gonna ask you to see later. We didn't spend any time at the sand area to brush off fossils, but we spent at least 20 minutes with the slides and dinosaur races inside this room. For the dino race, kids get in line, select a speed, and then race a video dinosaur that's on the wall next to them. Like, I think our 2-year-old did this no less than 16 times because he loves to run, especially when it's time to brush his teeth. For some reason, I think that the tracking might have been off because it always seemed to imply that the kid lost, even though many of the kids were absolutely burning the dinosaur, but it didn't really affect the kid. Like, a W is a W. You can tell if you beat the dinosaur. Most kids will want to do this at least twice because they'll probably go conservative the first time, thinking that the dinosaur is going to be really fast. They'll beat the dinosaur in the first race, then they'll up to the next speed, and then they'll race them again. If your kid still reliably falls while walking or running, the first speed is probably for them. If your kid is between 2 and 3, the second speed is probably a good fit, and they'll still win. The fastest speed should be good for kids who are between 4 and 5. If your kids are 6 and older, they will pretty much dominate the dinosaur at the highest speed, like Usain Bolt level domination. And really, I think that this part of Dinos Alive shows the really tight age range that this event is best for. The sweet spot is going to be a range of kids 2 to 6 who love dinosaurs and aren't scared of them. Like, if your kid somehow thinks that Dinosnores is a scary book, this is not for them. I think it's best when your kids are old enough to walk, explore on their own, and stay awake, but they're not old enough to be unimpressed by animatronic dinosaurs, VR experience, and racing a dinosaur on a video screen. Because our kids are perfectly in that sweet spot, we spent well over an hour and a half at Dinos Alive, which I realize many parents would say is crazy, especially if their kids are older. Due to many dino races, it would have been closer to 75 minutes if we had all been able to do the VR thing all at the same time. Just like the fossils, we didn't spend a minute with the arts and crafts, but we have 2 boys that are pro dinosaur. They had a lot of fun, and I think that this was one of our kids' most fun VR experiences that he's ever had. I mean, he's only done like 4, but he thought it was really cool. And while that was our experience, I could also see how a lot of families with kids of different ages and interest levels could go through this whole thing in 15 minutes and leave feeling really disappointed. I saw some of those parents, and I also saw some parents whose kid never wanted to leave and race that dinosaur more times than our own kids even did. But really, if your kid is one of those 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds who gets really obsessed with racing the dinosaur, you won't really get tired of it because they will be so proud of themselves and you can just watch them do it over and over. If you're interested in other things like this, here's my take on 2 other popular traveling events just like this that might be coming to your city. If you're visiting or live in Denver, these videos should help you and your kids find some fun things to do in and around the city. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that this video helped you decide if Dinos Alive is for you and your family.